to order the regular meeting of the Beacon Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Larry Cohen.
Here.
Betsy Dennis. Excused. Jennifer Edge. Excused. Christine Galbo. Here. Frank Garnett.
Here.
Georgia Patchen. Here. Mary Beth Stevens. Here. Bill Zau.
Here.
Melissa Thomas. Here. Mr. Hilbert, will you review the fire exits?
Certainly. The fire exits are to the rear of the auditorium and also to the side.
And would you like to introduce our workshop?
I would. It's with great pleasure that I introduce our athletic director, Mr. Eric Romanino.
Thank you. Good evening. Before I recognize a few of the individuals here tonight, I just want to bring your attention to the newsletter that's in your packet. And for the people in the audience, this is something that I put together. I started this about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's online. You can download it. It's a PDF. It highlights all the accomplishments of our athletes and teams and coaches. And we keep all the newsletters archived on our website. If you click on the Beacon website, go to athletics, click on the newsletter, and it's there. We kicked off the winter season the other day with a successful Terrence Wright tournament. The boys basketball team taking a second place, winning the first game against Monroe Woodbury, and then lost a tough heartbreaker to North Rockland. We had a great fall season, as you read in the newsletter. I'm very proud of our athletes and their accomplishments, and probably the most thing I'm proud about is the way our athletes conduct themselves on the field and in the classroom. Our athletes are scholar athletes. Our athletes have proved that they can display good sportsmanship, and that's probably the most important thing that I want as an athletic director. The wins and losses, they're nice, but I want them to be good students and good role models. The first award I would like to present to the Board of Education is the New York State Section Sportsmanship Award. This award was given to us this past summer for our exemplary sportsmanship over the 2011-2012 school year. Our coaches have done a tremendous job instilling good sportsmanship in our athletes. Our athletes have done a good job playing games, and our fans have done a good job. And we have done a good job as a district to promote good sportsmanship, and that can't be done without the support of our high school administration and you as a Board of Education. And I'd like to present the plaque to the Board of Education. We will place this in our trophy case sometime this week. The next thing I'm very proud of is the New York State Scholar Team Athlete and our Scholar Athletes. In the fall, we had 223 athletes. 60% of those athletes had a 85 or above average. And that's just, it's amazing. Seven of our varsity teams earned the New York State Scholar Team Athlete Award. This award is given to teams that have a cumulative average above 90. And the first-time recipient is the varsity football team, Scholar Team Athlete. Next to girls swimming, boys and girls soccer, volleyball, boys cross country, girls tennis. And those were the 7 teams. If the state would recognize cheerleading, we could throw them in as a Scholar Team Athlete as well. I would like to, in conjunction with the Star Team Athlete, I would like to talk about the academic or the students that were declared academically ineligible. In the middle school this fall, out of 223 kids, only 8 middle school students were declared academically ineligible, and 6 high school kids, which I think is tremendous. And again, credit goes to our coaches who do a good job making sure the kids go for extra help and communicating with the teachers, and the teachers working with the kids so they're successful in the classroom. During the winter, we just got going, so it's hard to give you a number, overall number, but right now, 19 middle school students were declared academically ineligible, and 12 high school students. Now, all of those students didn't make those teams at the high school, and at the middle school, tryouts are still going on. The first person I'd like to recognize tonight is Craig Seaman. If Craig could come up here. Craig's our head varsity boys soccer coach. He recorded his 100th win this past season. Craig has done a tremendous job with the boys soccer program. When he took over, we only had a varsity team. We probably had 15, 16 kids come out for the team. We barely had enough for a modified team, and through some creative scheduling, we were able to split a stipend, do some creative scheduling and modified, and we built the program from the bottom up. We ended up getting a JV program a year or two later, and through his efforts working with Beacon Rec, he has built one of the better programs, soccer programs in the county. He has raised the bar. What impresses me most about Craig is he has raised the bar as far as the way our kids play soccer. They play within the rules. You very rarely see our kids getting red cards and yellow cards. They play hard, but they play within the rules, and that's what impresses me the most about how about the way Craig goes about his business. Excuse me. And Craig, credits his coaching staff for the success he has. We have Hugo Elzate at the JV level. We have Tim Tetreault at the Paul Tetreault at the modified level, and an unpaid assistant, Bill Fige, at the JV level. They are a team, and that's why they're successful. Their philosophies from modified to varsity are all the same. And like many of the successful programs in our district, if you have continuity and you have consistency from bottom to top, you're going to be successful. And congratulations to Craig. Thank you. I'd like to recognize the girls' tennis team, and if I could have Laura Thomas, Coach Laura Thomas, come up. Laura's team won the league championship for the first time since 2008, was it? 2009? And girls did a nice job. Many of the girls were on the team since 7th and 8th grade. I'm going to have Laura introduce the players.
Good evening. I have my number 1 singles player, Leanne Gersh. Third singles, Alexandra Shea. First doubles team, Adele Antelek and Caroline Banks. Second doubles team, and undefeated this season, Kelly and Carrie Mosman. And also represented is Kayla Mesman. We would like to thank the board for your continued support for the athletic program. We had an excellent season, and this is my first league championship as a varsity coach. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And finally, I'd like to recognize 4 swimmers that qualified for the New York State Swimming Championships. And when I call your name, if you can come out. Okay. Paige Rakowski, senior. Addie Rakowski, sophomore. Cassie Gonzalez, sophomore. And Emmanuel Palacucha. Did I get it right? All right. Casey and Addison will be returning next year. And Emmanuel, you probably don't recognize that name, but she's a Haldane student. And because of your efforts and voting to do a merger, she's a team of one, we were able to merge with Beacon, and she was able to swim. If it wasn't for your approval and the Haldane Board of Education's approval, she would have never gotten that opportunity to swim with our girls. So she's almost like a student here. I see her just about every day here, even when swimming's over. But the 4 girls, all scholar athletes, 9-year above students. All 4 girls, it's not a surprise that all 4 girls swim competitively with Big Blue, and that's the only way you get to go to the state championships and be successful is by swimming competitively on the off season. Paige is a four-time qualifier for the New York State Championships. She's a Poughkeepsie Journal Swimmer of the Year 2 times, right? And she has her sights set on going to Annapolis as a midshipman or a cadet at West Point. She's still waiting for her that acceptance letter. But she's quite a student here at Beacon High School. We're all proud of the accomplishments of our swim team. Thank you. And I'd just like to thank the Board of Education for their continued support of our athletic program. Without your support, we couldn't, our kids couldn't do the wonderful things they do in the athletic seasons. And I hope to see you all at some of the winter events. Thank you.
Stay right there for a second, if you don't mind, Coach. First, I'd like to thank you. Great newsletter. Wasn't that a nice newsletter? We really appreciate your fine work. Just a couple of things before you go. You know, sometimes you spend almost your whole life working at a job. And although the people you work with know you do a great job, sometimes it never goes beyond that. But once in a while, when you work really hard, your colleagues figure it out. And I'm really pleased to announce tonight that Eric Romanino is going to be chosen for Athletic Administrator of the Year for Section 1 this year. The award will be presented at the New York State Athletic Association Conference banquet in March, and is presented to an athletic administrator who has made significant contributions to their school district and section. And we're so proud of you for everything that you do. And if you would bear with me, I think I just would like to share a little bit of your background so folks really know some of the things you've been doing. Many of you know that Eric has been here for 32 years, so things don't happen overnight. You know, Eric started out, he attended the University of Tampa for his bachelor's and went to Western Connecticut State for his master's, and like many of us, State University for his master's in educational administration. Just some of the accomplishments, and you talked about some of them tonight, but we went from 19 teams to a high of 56 teams during those years. Eric developed a coaching handbook and student-athlete handbook, developed a coaching evaluation system, developed, as the board knows, concussion management policy, working with the school attorney. We established the Athletic Hall of Fame and developed a community fitness and pool membership program that we just spoke about. Many of you know that It's my pleasure to work with Eric in his capacity as president of the Beacon Administrators Association. I can tell you that Eric continues to work on raising academic standards for all our student athletes. And you've heard about the accomplishments with our students this year. I mean, many. Eric is, of course, called coach by a lot of our students because he's been coaching for a number of years, over 15 years as wrestling coach, baseball coach. He was head football coach. I think you've done all the jobs, haven't you, one time or another, and done them well. And you've gotten all the coaching honors, Coach of the Year for I don't know how many years in various sports. We're so proud of you. Congratulations, and I can't wait to hear about your experience in March. Thank you.
For 32 years I've called this place home, and there's no better place. I've really enjoyed my time here as a coach, teacher, and administrator, seeing the ups and downs of this district, and wouldn't do it anywhere else. Thank you for your support over the years. Thank you.
Well, that's a pretty tough act to follow. Earlier this evening, we had the board tour of some of the high school facilities by Dr. Sieverding, and as typical, after we do that, we have the principal's report. So, Dr. Sieverding.
Thank you, Mr. Hilberg, and congratulations to Mr. Romanino. As you well know, I worked in a number of different districts, and working with Eric, he's one of the tops, and I certainly have the same experiences that you talk about, so congratulations, Eric. Earlier this evening, I took the board on a quick tour of the building, which is an annual event, and we talked about a number of things, and Mr. Hilberg asked me just to kind of focus on some of the highlights since I last presented to the board about Beacon High School, about our curriculum and other things related to the high school. Later on this winter I'll have an opportunity to discuss them more fully, but just to give you a quick update on a number of things that we talked about earlier. As you well know, one of the areas that we are focusing on are the two building goals that we've set for Beacon High School. One that relates to the New York State growth of our students, which we call the rigor piece. We have set a target that compared to last year that we want to increase by 2% the number of kids who scored at the level of 75% on a Regents exam. That's our target for this year. We've set that target based on last year's data and where we stand this year. The other portion of that, and this is all, as you well know, related to the APPR that we are now using this year. The other building goal is a local performance goal, and that is the number of students who are passing all of the Regents exams that we offer here in this building. Again, we have set a target for that as well, and not only, I think this is something that should be done every year because it gives us a better indicator of how students are progressing as they go through the year. And because of that, we have already spent the first 10 weeks collecting data to find out where kids are, kids that perhaps might be at risk at this point, and we've instituted a number of measures where we want to get help and assistance to students who are at risk now instead of waiting until we get to the spring. Dr. Walkley and I have been looking at what that would look like, and we've identified groups that I have targeted to get this help. We had the first 10 weeks go by very quickly. As you well know, here we are already midway through the second quarter. I've collected data for students who are doing well. I've collected data for students who need extra help at this point. Multiple, what I call my D and F list. I send a letter to parents after the 10-week report card. The guidance counselors do as well. We've increased the communication to parents for students who are at risk, and right now we're putting together a program where they are strongly encouraged to stay after school, so they can catch up now rather than waiting until, half a year or almost 3/4 of the year goes by. We call this the After School Academy, and we will be putting that in motion very quickly. The other thing that I would like to talk about is that last year we piloted a program where 9th graders took the U.S. History and Government Regents course. And the first year we did that, we started with a group who, it was not a heterogeneous group, but these were students who were most needy, and we attempted to have them take that course rather than Global 1, and then of course in their sophomore year take the Regents as a Global 2 Regents. That exam, I think, across many school districts is the toughest exam because it covers 2 years of material. So what we tried to do is to say, okay, they're finished with 8th grade, where it's a U.S. history course. Let's continue that particular curriculum and see how they do as 9th graders. To our surprise, the class that we piloted this in was not a strong class. There were a lot of kids that were already receiving extra help, and they did fairly well. So what we did this year, we took 2 9th grade classes and gave the teacher a heterogeneous group of students to see how they would do. And by all indicators, they seem to be doing extremely well. So what we're trying to do is explore, would it make sense, to continue that program for 9th graders and the Global later on? We still have, we still have to look at the data. We still have to look how we could possibly do this. But the reason to me it makes sense is that you have then kids that are more mature taking the Global History exam as juniors after they have a number of years under the belt of taking Regents exams. So that's a thing that we're piloting, we're looking at it, and we're just in the early stages of our discussion. The schedule for next year, we're pretty much number-wise status quo, plus or minus at 25 students of where we are this year. I'd be spending tomorrow and the day after going to a scheduling workshop, because there are things that I would like to look at to see if we can initiate some of these things, given the staffing that we have, and certainly keeping in mind the requirements for all the courses. So I'll be reporting back to Mr. Hilberg and Dr. Walkley, and eventually in my report to say, the kinds of things that, because things, as you well know, everything is about how do we change our system to deliver instruction, and that's what the focus would be. Our Novanet program, we are using that consistently. I'm looking for ways to expand it. Currently, we do have students that are in academic support programs. It's ideal for that. But for example, we have at least 5 students who are shy, perhaps a credit to a credit and a half for graduation. Right now, this year, they are sitting, because they need to catch up by their own wishing to do so, are sitting in 8 classes across the board, 8 periods to catch up on credits. But they're still a credit and a half shy. So the solution then would be they would have to come back next year to take a credit and a half. So what we're trying to do now is we have 5 students that sat in the course already but failed, and they can do this at home and then do the work and then complete the program. Now, one of the things that I think one of the things on the agenda tonight is to approve. I had a teacher aide position that was going to be changed to a teaching assistant position. I have a person who applied for that who's a certified teacher who then can monitor this work, in their other capacity. So I think we need to look at ways where we can expand kids that are shy of credit, do the work on their own, monitor their work as they're doing it. Right now I have them, I build a course and I enroll them, and it's an independent type of approach where they can at any time log on and finish their work. One prerequisite is that they've already sat in a course and were not successful. So if they can clear up a credit or a credit and a half, they'll graduate. And kids, when they recognize that they need to do this to catch up, it's a great motivator to get them finished, rather than coming back next year for a period or two. Lastly, as we took our tour, we talked a little bit about the theater, and I am telling you, as you well know, I'm so impressed by the Beacon Players and P.J. Devine and Mr. Scarone and what they're doing in that theater. They've had 2 major events already. Their fundraiser back on November 9th, and the Once Upon a December that ran this past weekend. We had the matinee on Saturday and the Friday night performance. I know many of you, were entertained by a group of very talented kids. And as one of the things that Eric talked about, our kids here, that at first their impression was, I can't do this. I'm not that good. And let me tell you something, they are phenomenal. What the adults who work with them have done is, they've raised the bar to a very exceptional level if you've ever listened to their performances. We are gearing up for April. They were supposed to do the Wiz this past weekend, but because of, contract rights and blackout periods and whatever else goes along with that, we're not able to do so. So now they have more time to get ready for that show, so it should simply be, phenomenal, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. But, again, it's not only, as what Eric had said earlier, not, how many games you win or lose, it's what the effort is that goes into it. And when you see those kids and how they're orchestrated and how they perform and how they rehearse and how they work together as a team and how we're bringing the rest of the community into this, having the little kids there from the elementary school was just, it was a great strategy, to be honest with you. And that's what it should be. That theater should be used for things like what you saw, and that's what we're continuing to do. So I thank you for listening, and that concludes my just brief update for you.
Dr. Sieverding, thank you so much. We're just so happy that you're with us here at Beacon. You're a great principal and an instructional leader, and we look forward to sharing the remainder of the successful school year under your leadership. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
To ask a question. Or I can wait till this is our time to ask a question. Dr. Sieverding?
Yes.
I have a question, but I don't necessarily want to put you on the spot to have an answer, so I want to give you... but we just had our education committee meeting, and we had the elementary principal there. And I'm just wondering, maybe through, Dr. Walkley or... but a question that I've had many years in a row is, I always wondered, when it comes to the graduation rate, you had mentioned that we have 5 students that are missing that credit and a half. Are there a top 3 courses that are kind of hindering our high schoolers from graduating? And you don't have to answer, but...
No, I'll answer that. I don't think it's a top 3 thing, but I did mention to you, for example, that the global Regents exam is tough, all right? But that should not be a reason why students should not graduate. All of our kids are capable of passing that exam and others. I think we're dealing, when you say, how many kids are having issues because of not graduating. We're trying to tackle lots of things here. One of them, I think, which to me and our administrative, and I'm sorry I forgot to introduce you. As you know, Brian Archer is one of the assistant principals, and I want to thank him too for his work, and certainly Mr. Mulhern worked with them with PPS directly. There are lots of reasons. One, if I could have like a magic wand and say every kid will come to school on time and attend regularly, that would take care of much of this problem. Okay, that's one issue. Two, kids who are motivated, to study and do well. We constantly encourage them, to do so, and counseling them with all the different people that are here. So I don't think it's an issue of a particular course. I mean, there are lots of ways that kids can graduate and get the 22 credits that they need to do so. I don't think that's the issue. I think the other issue is, certainly, some kids find it more difficult than others. I grant you that is true. But it should not be a reason why they don't. And like I said, the ones that are short, a credit and a half, maybe the light went off very late, now they are seniors and they got to get going, and that's why we're trying to do these things.
Thank you, Dr. Severson. Appreciate it.
Resolution 1210. Oh, you have something more?
Yeah, before you do the resolution, I'd like to do a little introduction, if I may.
Okay.
The next resolution is based on our recommendation, and I'd like to give a little background on the principal of South Avenue Elementary School, Kara Conrad. This evening I had the pleasure of recommending Kara for tenure. And Kara's background, her certification is in elementary, special education. She also has dual certification in school, building leader and school district leader. And if my history is correct, and bear with me if it's slightly off, I apologize. But I know that Kara has 8 years experience as a teacher, and she came to Beacon as assistant principal at the Round Mountain Middle School, and she was there for a little under a year, and then was moved and off the position of principal of the South Avenue Elementary School. Kara's probationary position began on February 1st, 2010, and expires on January 31st of 2013. The number of the board members were in attendance on November 19th, when we had the opportunity to visit the South Avenue Elementary School. We witnessed Kara's great enthusiasm and heard her excellent report as we toured the building. It was great to see several of her teachers show their support by attending the board meeting at that time, and it's great to see everybody out tonight. How much does she pay you? But this is really indicative of the support that Kara has earned during the last 3 years with her faculty. And recently at the board education workshop was another opportunity to appreciate Kara's in-depth knowledge of teaching and learning, as well as listening to her explain her outstanding efforts to improve student achievement. Kara's tremendous work ethic, commitment, and capacity for change serves her and her building very well. It's very clear to us that she's a strong instructional leader and well respected by her students, the faculty, staff, and the community. My colleague, Dr. Walkley, who I have great respect for, last Friday she visited South Avenue, and I saw her at noon, and she was so happy. She said, I was just down at South Avenue, and Kara has made the Common Core standards really come alive in her building. And that's just great to hear, because that's what it's all about this year. Kara has a very promising future here at Beacon, and we're fortunate that she's a member of our administrative team. And to the Board of Education, I recommend Kara without reservation for the award of tenure. this evening.
Resolution 121012A.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education confers tenure upon Kara Conrad, Principal of South Avenue School, in the elementary principal tenure area, effective January 31st, 2013.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations.
Congratulations. On behalf of the board, we'd like to invite everyone to the cafeteria to celebrate this great accomplishment.